Hello, welcome back to GarageHammerTactics. It's Tom today. Now, unfortunately, Wilts is still in Tier 2 of the coronavirus lockdown restrictions, or if you get political, it's restrictions, but let's face it, it's lockdown. So that means no battle reports. But continuing on from Sean's Blood Angels Army Showcase, I've taken a turn to display my death card for you. Now, I started the death card back in February, just before lockdown started, so I've really got to thank lockdown for happening in a twisted way, I suppose, as it's allowed me to complete 4,000 points so far. Now, I intend to finish up the army for about 7,500 points if I can eventually make my mind up, but I know that I will finish up with a Fellblade Mortarion as a bit of a reward for slogging through it all. But anyway, I'll crack it out of the display cabinet and get it on our display board, which I've borrowed from Sean as well, so you can take a closer look. But in the meantime, before then, thank you very much for the support that you guys have given us. We're still only small, but we intend to grow and branch out into other content, 40k, maybe AOS, as time allows and we can get it all painted to a decent standard. But if you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll take you through what I've got. Here is my Death Guard army as it stands. Now, unfortunately, I added up the numbers wrong in the previous clip. It's only 3,600 or 3,660, so apparently I can't do maths as per usual. There's no change there. And in total, I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far. I can't wait to add a few more models now. As you probably saw on that sweep there, it's Taurus Rubio. He's not officially part of this. I painted him up years ago, but I thought I'd show him off. I quite like it, as he is. I get some camera skills there. But the rest of them, as can be seen, there's the main man himself, or one of the main men himself, Mr. Typhon. He's never really done that well in the armies and battle reports I've done, or any game at all, but I think that's mainly my role in, and he's quite overcosted for what we can do. The rest of the HQs, this guy here I use as a champion, Paragon Blade, cheap way of getting some at initiative AP2, well, relatively cheap. Behind him is my favourite HQ probably, is the Moritat. Dual plasma pistol loadout, fun times for me, especially when you deploy him in the drill with the destroyers that you can join, but I'll get to those in a minute. Next up is Senior Mortificator. Unfortunately no dreadnoughts at the moment. I am working on them, but I am a bit slow too. Wasn't really much artwork to go on for a Mortificator, so I've used some of the Secretary wardrobe upgrade for his staff there. If you can see it, and it will focus. Probably, there we are. On top of his axe, so I just did a bit of chop and changing. I'm pretty happy with how he turned out, but it's just a Tech Marine base with that hoplite staff, is it? Or Peltas? I'm not a mechanical player, so. And one of those broken forge-rolled units. Typhon again. Now, probably one of the best buff units, or buff HQs, is a Chaplin. And here's my box standard one. Not the gamiest loadout with the power maul, but keeping points down for, and he's a better upgrade unit if you want a close combat specialist unit to do well. Plasma pistol for a bit of ranged AP2. Now I use this HQ here as one of two models. Either Durek Rask is one of the poor Death Guard HQs or specialist character, or a Siegebreaker console, which I've most often used it as. It adds a bit of rerolls for the unit behind him, Tank Hunter and Wrecker, so reroll failed pens. So as he's equipped for a siege breaker, he's quite expensive with that Thunderhammer, but as I wanted to dual use him, Duras comes with that Thunderhammer as standard, so had to make do really. And there's old Rubio again. Behind them is the rest of the army. So I'll bring it out a bit. Camera work isn't that great as usual, still getting used to it. We'll go left to right again. Taurus Terminators. What you see is what you get. One chain fist in there, 3 power fist, power scythe on the sergeant, which I must say I put power scythe across all my sergeants of every unit, and a Volkite charger. Not bad. Never really done well again, but mainly because I haven't ever had a transport to put them in, but finally finished up the Storm Eagle, which we'll get to in a bit. And on from them is the Death Shroud. I really like this unit. 2 wounds is very useful, and their Death Guard Power Scythe, although -1 initiative, is still initiative 3, so you're generally beating most other specialist Terminators in combat. Best to get in there quicker with the initiative 3 rather than initiative 1 to do some AP2 damage. They've done pretty well whenever I've used them. Next on from them is the Grey Warden. Now these guys are pretty fun, although slightly overcosted still. They do have a variety of special rules that they are allowed to fire Overwatch with their Chem Cloud, and anyone who charges them is disorderly charged because of that. So it can be quite useful, but I more often than not forget that they can do that even though they're in Cataphractii armour. And yeah, pretty happy with how they turned out. Next up, the staple of most of my list is the 10-man strong missile launcher squad. And by the way, I've not really done much of a HQ elites troops layout to this. I'm just going through it as I'd laid it out on the board and whatever looked cool. 10 missile launchers, all fun and games, you know what they do. More often than not, they die quicker than I can actually do, or if I play against Sean, he makes them run and then they rally and then I'm snap shooting, so completely nullifies their effectiveness. And next on, it's probably my favourite dreadnought that Forge World produce. Probably a gamey loadout is what most would say. Graflex Bombard, all for the big pipe plate AP2. Phosphoxy charger on top. I mean, you've got to do that if you're Death Guard, let's face it. I mean, okay, yeah, it's a bit whack, but hey ho. And then the drill, just for chewing through other dreadnoughts or tanks. I have got a drop pod that I want to get painted up for him, but first come, first serve. Go back round to the left. Back there is a Derridair. Overall, really good unit. The twin linked autocannons with Sunder is really effective, and the missiles on top are really quite sneaky. AP2, strength 8, although they are one use, it's fairly useful. I've made things blow up or snap shoot, so quite helpful in game sometimes. I should have said that the Leviathan also has nipple flamers, just because Death Guard can take chem munitions, so they get shred. It does get hot, so you have to make that roll, so you have that risk, but it gives it shred, and heavy flamer strength 5 with shred is pretty tasty. Same again for the Derridair. Behind that is what I've recently just finished today. It is my Storm Eagle, which is what I will use to deploy combat Terminators or Mortarion when I get him finished. I have not enjoyed painting that, as Sean and Sam will gleefully inform you. It's taken me since August and it's now December, but finally got it to a standard where I'm happy to present it. Next on from there, first of 2 tactical squads. Not much I can really say about that. Again, all the sergeants have power size, just for a slightly better than power fist alternative. Behind that is their dedicated Rhino. I don't bother sticking the combat weapons options on tactical squads. They're just as a basic troops tax for Age of Darkness Crusade army list. There's the other tactical squad. Again, copy and paste. Metal bombs, artificer armor on the sergeant. Means they'll most likely stand up to a challenge to another tactical squad sergeant, because they generally get equipped with power fists. And we'll come to my favourite unit. This is Destroyer Squad. Especially when, now that with the recent updates in Book 9 to the Termite Assault Drill, Destroyers can take them as dedicated transports, so alleviating a fast attack slot in the overall army. As usual, there is 1, 2 dispenser web missile launchers with rag grenades. Got to be done. Ranged AP3 with flashbane is very nice for popping up out of the drill with the plasma attack for some hurt on pretty much anything, especially when he gets his chain fire off. It brings the pain. Sergeant, always put a cheeky Phosphex bomb on him, just because you never know when you might be able to use it. And as Death Guards, their army-wide rule, or Legions of Astartes rule, is they get a feel no pain 4 up to anything with a flashbane or poison. So even if it does scatter back with him with its short range of 6 inches, they will get a feel no pain of 4 up against it. Termite behind that. Again, a really useful troops deployer. Get them where you want. Minimal scatter. Can do damage if it ends up scattering into enemy units. 2 twin-linked Volkite chargers. Can't quite see the one behind it because I've placed it poorly. That through. I've only had 1 game with it since baited, and obviously before lockdown 2.0 came in. But I feel it's a really powerful unit and force multiplier. And then last but not least is my lightning. And that's a bit of copy and paste with Sean, but lightnings are so useful. I generally tend to equip it with the 2 pairs of Kraken penetrators, battle server control, and the other one ground tracking auguries, so you get strafing run and tank hunter. And then the other hard point mount I use for the missiles is a Phosphex bomb cluster, just because it's Death Guard and that's how they go to war. So fairly happy with my progress of the Death Guard so far. Hope you've enjoyed this overview and my camera skills haven't been subpar. I apologise if they have been. Just let us know in the comments below and I will endeavour to try and get better. This isn't a normal setup we do for army overviews in Sean's garage. This is actually in my spare room in my house. I've just stolen the display board. So I'm actually fairly happy with how it's turned out. And we hope to get back to producing battle report content for you soon, but with COVID staying where it is at the moment, there's not a lot we can do until rules allow. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon.